Hey guys, welcome back to True Crime with Shannon, where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. You know, you just can't make up fiction that's as unbelievable as real life. This is Kouri and Eric, make sure I say their last name right here, Richins. Kouri is the wife to the left, and Eric was her husband. She's being accused of murdering him last March. So let's check out this clip from the local news.
New at 10, this has been a talker all day today. A Summit County woman who wrote a children's book about coping with grief following her husband's death a year ago, now accused of being the one that actually killed him.
That woman is 33-year-old Kouri Richins. According to court documents, she is accused of poisoning her husband just weeks after requesting fentanyl from a dealer. Ariel Harrison live tonight in Summit County with this story. Ariel.
Neighbors who are close with the family did not want to go on camera, but shared with me that they are shocked with these accusations, telling me the woman they know would have never done something like this. Now, we've gathered some alarming details from the police documents associated with this case. A big one, the man who died, Eric Richins, believed that his wife was trying to poison him. This is the home where police found Eric Richins dead on his bedroom floor in March of 2022. According to court documents, Richins and his wife Kouri were celebrating a business accomplishment the night he died. Police say Kouri claims she made Eric a Moscow Mule, which he drank in the bedroom. They say Kouri told authorities that she left to help one of their children and returned to the bed several hours later. It was then, they say, she noticed Eric was cold to the touch and called 911. Evidence gathered in the death investigation revealed Kouri claimed she was away from her phone that night and it was left on a charger by her bed. Teams, however, gathered evidence the phone was in use during that time and sent messages had been deleted. Additional evidence showed Kouri was in contact with a drug dealer in Ogden leading up to Eric's death. The legal documents state she received both hydrocodone pills and fentanyl from the dealer, claiming the drugs were intended for a client experiencing back pain. At one point, police say she requested for, quote, the Michael Jackson stuff, asking specifically for fentanyl. Information from the autopsy report determined Eric died from an overdose of fentanyl 5 times the lethal dosage. In March of 2023, Kouri published this children's book, Are You With Me?, written for children coping with loss of a loved one. Now, again, neighbors I spoke with who wanted to stay off camera tell me that they stand by Kouri, but admit that the information they've been reading about this case has been very alarming. Richins is expected back in court next week. Reporting live in Summit County, Ariel Harrison, KUTV 2 News.
So Kouri was looking for the Michael Jackson milk, apparently. Well, I don't think she got that exactly. However, she is accused of killing her husband. And they have 3 children. So, and then she goes and writes this children's book for children on how to grieve the loss of a loved one. It's unbelievable. It really truly is. She apparently put the fentanyl, like they said, in his Moscow Mule cocktail. And the husband was saying in the weeks before, he was worried that his wife was trying to kill him, which, you know, is a big red flag. You know, she tried to make herself the sole beneficiary of his life insurance policy. And then he changed his will and power of attorney to give his sister full control. So as of right now, she's in custody in Summit County. And like they said, that she'll be in court soon. And she has been promoting her new children's book on grieving. Are you with me? So this is the arrest warrant that was submitted for Kouri. Her full name is Kouri Richins. And just going to kind of sift through it. She's been charged with criminal homicide, aggravated murder, which they're stating that on or about March 3rd, 2022, in Summit County, state of Utah, the defendant did intentionally or knowingly cause the death of another individual under any of the following circumstances. The actor committed homicide by means of the administration of a poison of any lethal substance or of any substance, administered in a lethal amount, dosage, or quantity. Furthermore, the defendant was a cohabitant with the victim. Number 2, possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. That's another charge in violation, and they of course are giving the codes. It's a second-degree felony that on or about January of 2022, the defendant did knowingly and intentionally possess with intent to distribute in Summit County, state of Utah, a controlled or counterfeit substance that was A, classified in a Schedule 1 or 2, B, a controlled substance analog, or C, gamma hydroxyburic acid as listed in Schedule 3. Charge number 3, possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. And of course, there's the Utah code that on or about February 11th, 2022, in Summit County, state of Utah, the defendant did knowingly and intentionally possess with intent to distribute a controlled or counterfeit substance that was A, classified in Schedule 1 or 2, B, a controlled substance or analog, or C, gamma hydroxyburic acid as listed in Schedule 3. Charge number 4, possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute, that on or about February 26, 2022, in Summit County, state of Utah, the defendant did knowingly and intentionally possess with intent to distribute a controlled or counterfeit substance that was A, classified in Schedule 1 or 2, B, a controlled substance analog, or C, gamma hydroxyburic acid as listed in Schedule 3. This information is supported by state of probable cause as follows. On March 4th, 2022, at 03:22 hours, Summit County Sheriff's deputies and EMS staff responded to a residence located at 282 Willow Court in Summit County on the report of an unresponsive male. When they arrived, they found Eric on the floor at the foot of his bed. Life-saving measures were attempted, but Eric was declared deceased. During interviews with the deceased wife, the defendant, Kouri Richins, she stated that at or around 2100 hours on March 3rd, 2022, she and Eric were celebrating the defendant's closing on a house for her business. Defendant stated that she made Eric a Moscow Mule in the kitchen and brought it to their bedroom, where Eric consumed it while sitting in bed. The only people in the house were the defendant, Eric, and their children. Defendant stated she went to bed and shortly after went to sleep with one of the children in the child's bedroom because that child was having a night terror. Defendant said she awoke around 0300 hours and came back to her in Eric's bedroom. She felt Eric and he was cold to the touch. That is when the defendant called 911. Defendant told law enforcement that when she left her room to go to her child's room, she left her phone plugged in next to her bed and did not take it to her child's room. However, between when the defendant said she went to the child's room and when she called 911, the status on her phone shows that it was locked and unlocked multiple times, and there was also movement recorded on the phone. In addition, tolls on defendant's phone show that messages were sent and received during that time. These messages were deleted. Following an autopsy and pursuant to toxicology findings from the autopsy, it was determined that Eric died from an overdose of fentanyl. The medical examiner, OME, indicated the level of fentanyl in Eric's system was approximately 5 times the lethal dosage. The OME stated the fentanyl in Eric's system was illicit fentanyl and not medical grade fentanyl. It is also the opinion of the OME, after evaluating Eric's gastric fluid contents, that the fentanyl in Eric's body was ingested orally. After receiving the information regarding the toxicology, a search warrant was obtained for Eric and the defendant's residence. During the service of that search warrant, defendant's phone and several computers were seized as evidence. Warrants were obtained for all the electronic devices, and the information from those devices was downloaded. When investigators downloaded defendant's phone, several communications between defendant and CL were located. CL was identified as an acquaintance of the defendant. A police records check of CL revealed multiple counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of drug paraphernalia. On May 2nd, 2023, Summit County detectives interviewed CL. CL told detectives that sometime between December 2021 and February 2022, the defendant contacted CL via text message and asked if CL could get the defendant some prescription pain medication for an investor who had a back injury. Within a few days, CL procured hydrocodone pills from a dealer. Defendant told CL to leave the pills at a house defendant was flipping in Midway. CL left the pills at the house and defendant left cash for CL. It has been determined that this house was owned by the defendant in December 2021 and January 2022. About 2 weeks later, defendant contacted CL again and said that her investor wanted something stronger and asked for some quote, some of the Michael Jackson stuff, unquote. The defendant asked specifically for fentanyl. CL contacted a dealer in Ogden on February 11th, 2022 and procured 15 to 30 fentanyl pills from that dealer. Defendant came to CL's home in Heber and CL delivered the pills to the defendant. CL received $900 for those pills. 3 days later, on February 14th, 2022, Eric and the defendant had a Valentine's Day dinner at their Kansas home. Shortly after the dinner, Eric became very ill. Eric believed that he had been poisoned. Eric told a friend that he thought his wife was trying to poison him. About 2 weeks later, the defendant contacted CL again, asking for another $900 of fentanyl pills. CL contacted the Ogden dealer again on February 26, 2022, and procured the pills. The defendant told CL to leave the pills at the outdoor fire pit of the Midway house, where there was cash waiting for her. 6 days later, on March 4th, 2022, Eric was found dead of a fentanyl overdose. Yeah, so that's pretty telling. It truly is. It's pretty telling. I think that they've got her pretty good. I'll tell you though, she's a sneaky one. She tries to get a dealer. Well, she gets a dealer to get her fentanyl, which, as we all know, is already a situation in this country. And she poisoned her husband already. Thank gosh he didn't die the first time, but the last time, 5 times the lethal dosage. And then she goes and writes a children's book about how to deal with the death of, I guess, for a child. What a great mom, huh? Now these poor 3 kids, their 3 children, have lost their father last year, and now their mother is going to go to jail for life. It's a very sad situation in this world when people are resorting to killing their spouses and anyone in their life who they feel like is an inconvenience or causing them trouble. Do we ever not consider divorce, separations, any of that stuff anymore? I don't know. I guess killing our spouses seems to be the way to go. Well, let me know what you guys think on this one. I tell you what, the fact that she wrote a book and all this stuff, and she sure got away with it for a year, you know. She sure did. Sneaky one, isn't she? And as a lot of them, they don't look like they're a killer, do they? She doesn't look like she's the type, but really, what does a spouse that kills their husband look like? I don't know. Guess it looks like her. Guess it looks like Kouri. All right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day, and most of all, stay safe.